coincidence that he just happened to be in the same gig as us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's now that I know it, there's quite a lot of people from the railroad
That
that
are down.
100%
Yeah.
that are sober. It's a hard fucking
Well,
life.
back home where I got sober, most of the old timers were all railroad guys.
Where
All
where
friends.
where was that?
Seattle.
Oh man,
Seattle, Everett.
that's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of the biggest hubs for
Yeah.
UP, right?
Yep.
Yep, for
Yep.
Union Pacific. Yeah.
We probably had 15 guys that were been sober for quite a while that
Yeah.
were either retired or had time in the with the Union Pacific. Yeah.
Welcome everybody who is tuning in to the 4th Street Live podcast. This is our very first episode ever. 4th Street Live is basically going to be a podcast with people who are Reno locals, sobriety adjacent, or just people I think are interesting with crazy stories, profound stories, just raw human beings. If you know somebody that might be interested in coming on this podcast and sharing their experience, strength, and hope, please shoot a message to our Instagram. Our Instagram will get a lot of attention if you make it to the attention of John and you say you're a stripper. We get people in way quicker. I don't know what it is. Our producers pick it up a lot faster. But yeah, come on, shoot us a DM, shoot us a message. We're always ready to, and willing to hear from people from all over. This podcast is sponsored by Slab Sides Motorcycle Shop. Anybody in the Northern Nevada area looking to get your Harley Davidson motorcycles worked on, go check out Slab Sides Motorcycle Shop on Instagram, right off of Glendale. And my book, The Railrunner, is for sale on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Please check that out if you're looking for a cool story to read and support a local author. Today, I have my very good friend with me today, Dino, who is going to be talking to us a little bit about his journey through sobriety, military, and just one of the most unique stories of anybody I've ever met. And there's a reason why he's the first guy to be on this podcast, is because he's one of the most profound guys in this community. And you guys will all explain why. Dino, I wanted to start with your upbringing. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Seattle, Washington, and I've been in Reno since 2015, but most of my early time around sobriety and the rooms was, up in Washington. And it's a solid place to get sober. My mom and my stepdad brought me to the rooms at a young age. And as I shared earlier, I didn't get sober till 1989, and my first meetings were 1985. It takes what it takes to figure the thing out and get your feet wet and get going in the program. And I think we both agree that without this program, I'm not here. And it's as simple as I can put it, because I've died already in the program, and I've been locked up, but I've done just about everything that life has to offer, and I've maintained being sober, which has been the bedrock of my life, is this program and you guys in the rooms and people that have showed me the way. And I'm grateful that my late mom and late stepdad showed me the rooms and let me do what I needed to do to figure. And thank God, by the grace of God, I've been sober for a while. So,
Were you drinking young
oh
in
yeah,
Seattle?
yeah. My mom and stepdad, and then also my father. My father and mom divorced when I was about 3. And then my stepdad came into the picture pretty within a year or two after that. That year or two before they got together was pretty crazy. Had a mom that was full blown alcoholic, and my father and mom were trying to stay together, and my dad would have me out at all hours of the night as a little guy looking around for where mom was. And I got to see some stuff, altercations with my father and men that had no idea what was going on. And it was an eye opener. And then also my father, I got to see him put his hands on my mom, which was a lot of trauma when you're a kid. You're thinking it's my fault. What did I do? But that wasn't the case. But when you're young, that's what you feel.
Yeah.
It's what I do. Why is it my fault? But it's alcoholism.
Yeah.
I got to witness it at a young age, and I took my first drink when I was probably 7. They would have parties at the house, and there were drinks sitting around, and I'd go around and sip on them. And
Fuck yeah.
probably about 10 or 11, my uncle gave me a full can of Rainier beer,
Yeah.
and I downed it, and that's what we search for as kids that have alcoholic tendency and trauma as a kid. You want to feel that peace and comfort that alcohol gave us until it became the problem that we found it to be.
Absolutely, man. When did you get introduced into recovery? Was this how far into your drinking career were you introduced to the rooms of
Oh, I
recovery?
was full blown when I was 19,
Yeah.
1985, because I went into the military in 1983, and I came home on leave, and I told my mom, I go, man, I don't know if I can keep the pace up with the way I'm drinking. And back then, there was other stuff that we were doing because we'd stay out all night, and then we'd get in formation and go do what we were doing PT wise. And that took some extra help besides alcohol to make that happen. So I'd come home, and your stepdad and I are getting involved in the program. And if you want to take a look, you're more than welcome. And of course I did. And as I referred earlier, it took me till 1989 to finally figure out that this is where I need to be and what my life needs some new direction to get the help I needed. So
Yeah.
thank God for the rooms, and thank God for the program.
One of my favorite things you said tonight, which I totally related to, was the quality of sobriety in the beginning wasn't quite there. And that's 100% how my early sobriety was. It was just fucking sober. And
Yeah.
no, it was just like, it was like bone on bone, no cartilage, no lubrication. It was just, yeah, it was
White
just
knuckle.
white knuckled every day. And, and I saw the promises coming true in all these other people's lives when I was coming in. And I'm wondering, I've been sober just as long as them. Why is it not fucking getting better for me, man? I've seen all their lives improving. They're getting their girls back, and they have hot wives, and they've got cars and motorcycles, and they got all this shit. And my life just wasn't getting better. And when you said that tonight, it just made me think back to my early days because that was head on. And what was wild was hearing you say how long you did it for, man. And
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I did it a long time, and as I always say, I do not recommend it to anybody. The only thing I did right was not drink or use, but I was stark raving mad and crazy, and there's a reason why we do this in that book there. And if you don't do it, you can stay sober, but I'm here to tell you that it's like that science of I was in hell.
Yeah.
I was literally in a living hell because I had nothing to lean on, and now I have this program to lean on, and you guys and everybody that's involved in this Reno community is I'm close to, and a lot of them I consider brothers or family, and I can call at any time and they'll be there.
Yeah.
So,
Something that I really wanted to talk to you about tonight was a common theme that I run into with guys coming in with military backgrounds. And one of the things what their deal is, their great obsession is that they can drink like their fellows. And that's a theme among anyone with our disease, I think, but it's also more commonly among military guys, bikers. Like, why can't I drink like that guy? That was my great obsession, is why I couldn't drink like my friends. And you came from quite a profound military background. And I know that's all theme in the military, if I'm not mistaken.
it's a rite of passage when you first come in and go through basic, and then you start getting your first leaves and liberty and all that. It's a game on, and it's just 24/7 going drinking. And that's when I knew that I could have a problem, is when we were out on those things and you would start forgetting periods of time on your leaves, or you're late to get back to the barracks after. I got in some trouble with my drinking. All that kind of led to the fact that, like, it took me 2 years of doing that. And then I finally came back in '85 and said, you know what, Mom, I think I might have a problem. And
Yeah.
she's, I have a solution. It's just, here it is, and I can't make you go or want to go, but if you want to take a look at it, we'll be happy. So my first couple of years, I would usually go with them to my meetings, and that's where the problem started, because if I wasn't, I was sober, as we talked about, but it was just on by a thread, and I did that for a long time. And I got busy in the military once I got out of basic and AIT and jump school and ranger school. Then I got to my ranger battalion. And you want to talk about real drinking? My God, man, we drink morning, noon, night, no matter if we were on duty, off duty. That's what the Rangers do. We party hard, and do everything at 100 miles an hour, and that's just the way that we lived, and that sped me up to finally figuring out that, you know what, I just can't keep this pace up. So I got out for a little while in '89 and went to school and went to Washington State, which is not a great place to go if you're trying to get sober. It was the same thing. But I didn't have anybody to answer to now. I'm not going to formations. I'm not doing all the things that were required of me my first 5.5 years as a ranger. I was just sleeping and doing what I wanted to do. I'd go work out with the football team and blah, blah, blah. And finally, that's when I came home and I said, I'm ready to give this thing a shot. And that's September 9th, 1989 is the last day that I drank or used.
So you were drinking as a ranger for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
100%.
Yeah.
That's, and it's still that way today. I went up there to Fort Lewis last time I was home, and I was there looking around, and it was after hours, and I saw a bunch of the guys coming in, and it was early evening, but they had already been out and doing their thing, and they were going to regroup and go back again, but they were feeling it.
Gotcha. And you deployed with the Rangers.
I deployed with the Rangers. I actually got out in '87, and then I was going to school, and then I got called back when Panama was going to jump off, and they needed forward observers. The 3rd Battalion was the group that went down, and I was with 2nd Battalion up in Fort Lewis, Washington, and they needed forward observers, so they called me back to go and be a forward observer with the 3rd Ranger Battalion.
Yeah.
And we went down to Panama, and we did what we did. We took Noriega down, and then Kurt Muse was locked up in an American jail and ran security for that as a ranger. But the guys from Delta were the guys that actually went in and extracted him, and I was close enough to watch all their movements and see the things they were doing at such a high rate of speed that I was like, you know what, if I stay in, this is what I want to do. And eventually I got out of the Rangers and went and became a Green Beret for roughly about a year and a half, 2 years. And then then Delta came and looked for guys, and I put my name in and Delta and went through selection and the OTC and
Holy shit. Yeah.
graduated from that.
Wow.
My last 5 years were with the 1st Operational Detachment in Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Whoa.
And those guys also can party, but
Yeah.
of course I'm sober at that time. I had some guys that were high speed, badass individuals that came to me and said, "Hey man, this thing is kicking my ass.
Yeah.
What can I do?" And I had meetings in Fayetteville that I would go to, and I would bring these guys in, and everybody they can tell when we walk in who these guys are, and it was nice to be able to. There's two of them. You can look a guy up. His name is Tom Spooner, and he's a pretty well known guy on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. He's one of the guys that I brought in the room. Yeah.
So something I always wanted to ask you. I've heard your story, and something that I've been saving to ask you. There's a I always felt like there's this stigma. Delta is fucking top of the top. These are the fucking baddest of the bad motherfuckers on planet Earth, in my opinion. And there was a stigma getting sober. I was around men's men, bikers, dudes that I looked up to. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be like these guys that wanted what they had. And all these guys had a common thing, and they're all men's men. And I felt like there was this stigma coming around a lot of these guys, especially being a biker, is being sober around guys that drank normal and could hold their shit. Did you feel like that at all when you were getting into sobriety? When you were sober, Delta, they're all drinking around you. Was there pressure to drink? Was there pressure to put it aside, or was it not like that?
I was pretty well established at that point that I was sober, and though when we would deploy somewhere, those guys would do what they were going to do, be included, and I would go.
Yeah.
I already I was 5-6 years sober at the time, so
Yeah.
it wasn't as hard for me to be around the guys that were drinking. Of course, there's always those guys that, hey man, just have one with me,
Yeah.
and we won't say anything.
Right.
I'm like, that's not how we do it. We work with integrity the same way we do when we're downrange. On you can count on me, and that's really the only thing I have is to Thine's own self be true.
Yeah.
And I can't have just one drink with you, and we're out in the middle of this and that, and I was like, I better know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about this program is the rigorous honesty that comes with the program, and being able to look someone in the eye and say, hey, I'm proud to be sober and where I'm at in life, and I wouldn't have what I have unless I was doing the deal, which is in this. And that book right there sits as close to me in my bed as anything other than my firearm, and it's what saved my life. And I've had to use a firearm a lot to save my life. This here is more powerful than any weapon I own, in my opinion.
Yeah. So how long into not drinking did you get into the program? Was it right away?
As I shared earlier, I did my first 18 years in the program dry.
Yeah, man.
And white knuckled, and I think about it now, and the only way I could have done the program like that is because I was so young and you're resilient. I could not imagine the age I'm at now and working the program. I would be still locked up or I'd be dead.
Yeah, man.
Our motto is either one way or the other. If you're not working this thing as it's laid out, you got to.
Yeah.
We agree on that.
Yeah.
That without the program, without a higher power and the support, I couldn't tell you. I'd be one of those two. When I managed to do it sober. And the thing that really saved me is when I got in to prison, I started going to meetings every day because it was something.
Yeah.
And then it took hold again. And then by the time I got out, we had 3 yards on our facility, and I was running meetings between all 3 yards. I was walking with custody, just like I am today. There are no chains, all my shit with me, all my, and sometimes I push a card, give away, but that's what it took for me to finally get this thing, because I'm super hard-headed, and I it's either my way or the highway, and God beat me down enough to where took that kind of
Yeah.
incident for me to go away for a while, and that's what saved my life. Really, was going to prison.
Going to prison
Yeah,
and then getting into the book.
and getting into the book.
Got it.
And by the time, like I said, I had a bunch of guys that I still keep in touch with from where we were at that have maintained sobriety, and
Yeah.
they're working on 10, 12, 15 years now, which is
Yeah.
pretty amazing that this program travels anywhere in the world. If you want what we have, you do what we do.
That's right.
And just, it's a simple program, but it's not easy. And there's a few things you have to do. And for me, it was leveling my pride and my ego. And I deal with both of those frequently because I've just done what I've done in my life. And needless to say that it still gets in the way, but we have the tools laid at our feet in this program that right size me every day. Too far down a rabbit hole to realize that, you know what, hey Dean, you may want to rethink where you're going and what your motives are.
Yeah.
And I think that's key for me is motives. If my motives are off, then I have to take a step back and say, you know what are we really doing here?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. That's something I struggle. The only thing I've done perfect in the last 11 years is not drink or do drugs. That's the only thing I've done perfect. And there's many times where I feel I wake up and I know I'm going to try and take my will today. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's nothing I can do about it. I know it's coming and I know I'm going to try it. And it's like driving a car without power steering, man. It just doesn't get better. And I think that what's so important about hearing you talk is hearing guys like you who've tried it your way and it still didn't work is so important when we talk about our experience, strength, and hope, because we can hopefully deter other cats from listening to that and thinking that's probably going to not work. You know what I mean? Because I know if I can hear that and I've been, fuck, maybe I'm not going to do it that way. Maybe I'm going to try and just do it the way it's fucking told to tell me. You know what I mean? And
I completely 100% agree that all you can do is present what we do and how we do it. And you hope that the men and women that God graces them with the fact that what the right way to do this thing is to get into the steps and get involved, get a sponsor, and do the deal. And if you don't, you can stay sober, but I'm here to tell you, man, it's a tough way to go, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
yeah,
Being dry and being just is what I called it, and it's. I still dream about it today, along with still have bad dreams and all that good stuff from all the time that I spent in combat. That's never going to change. At least the tools from this program help me in every phase and facet of my life.
yeah,
And I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for this book. You and I wouldn't be
right.
friends, and all these guys, I truly consider them brothers.
Yeah. And if you're listening or watching this and you don't know what the fuck we're talking about, and you may be struggling with drugs and alcohol, or you don't know what this means, I want you to Google 12-step programs. To me, I go to a certain kind of 12-step program that has the most accountability. And the next question I'm going to ask you leads into this, but the accountability part is what I needed in my life. I came from a family that was a great family, but they struggled to be able to hold me accountable at a certain part of my life, because I was just running the show and there was nothing anybody could do about it. And please Google. And we don't promote, so we attract. And there's lots of things out there, and there's no cure-all. I personally think that there's lots of ways to get sober. I just know that for me, the one that worked the best was the one that had 12 steps, had the highest level of accountability, taught me what it meant to make an amends and be accountable and take responsibility for my resentments. And there's going to be a link at the bottom of this video if you're struggling for numbers to call. And my next question is just your own personal belief. I get this question a lot. Do you believe total abstinence is pertinent for sobriety?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I know that there's different sayings for it, but I think 100% no, no drugs, no alcohol, no pills, no
Yeah.
nothing. And that's just my opinion, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's
how I feel about
me too. No, that's why I asked, because ultimately it's up to you and whatever you believe in. You know what I mean? If you can sleep at night, that's to me, I agree. It's total abstinence, and it's what's brought me the most. It's brought me the most peace for sure. At least I know I wake up in the morning knowing that I'm telling the truth and feeling comfortable in my own skin.
No,
And
it's, I think just waking up with that peace and comfort that you're sober for another day. And I do my inventories at night, and I try to reconcile what I've done in the day and where I need to make amends and whatever the case might be. But like I said, without these steps and this program, it's a design for living that I think even people that drink should look into, because it will help you in whatever it is you're doing in your life. And I'm happy to say I'm a proud member of this program and community, and it's 100% saved my life.
yeah, I just wanted to touch on this because I know there's going to be a lot of people that listen to you that have military backgrounds as well. I'm sure that there was times where you used alcohol as a coping mechanism for what happened, for what you've seen over there.
Yeah.
Could you share a little bit on that and how you dealt with
Well,
that?
my first deployment is really the one that, where I was able to utilize alcohol, but it's just something that I see a lot of guys that are getting out now post 9/11, that's their only coping mechanism, and you can see it's going to kill them. And I try to be there to help them recognize that pills and alcohol are kill you probably quicker than a bullet. It might take a while, but it's going to be the same result. And war is war. They don't prepare you for what you can experience when you do your first post-op cleanup. You do your body counts, and you look at these guys that I personally had a problem with taking another man's life. Some guys that I served, they loved it. I personally wasn't raised that way, but I did what I was asked to do, and I would do it again if it needed be. But I've never seen any person that I killed downrange. They die with their eyes open, and they have that look of fear on their face. That's what I wake up to sometimes when I'm having a night sweats. And but I've been able to figure all that out through therapy and a lot of cognition therapy. And I do take medication to sleep, and I do take medication for my post-traumatic stress and my depression. And I've done every gambit therapy that there is out there that's available for guys like me. And that's what I suggest to these guys is go to the VA and get the help that you need, because they are there for you. And it's gotten better since I got out in 96. And the way it's progressed today, if you just walk in there and show them your 214, which is your military record, they will say, "Hey, you want to do this? You want to do this or this?" And it's all available to them. And that's what I would suggest that the guys that are getting out, that are post 9/11 guys that served in GWAT or Enduring Freedom or any of the ones that came after 9/11, they have the same experience as I do, and it's life changing. There's nothing that anybody can tell you until you've experienced it and went through it. That's brotherhood that I'm a part of, that I'm not proud of it, but it's just part of the deal that you do when you're in the military and you're a combat soldier. You're gonna You're going to see shit that you'll never forget it. But there is help, and there's a lot of programs out there for veterans, especially combat veterans, that they will put you into them immediately. Just go to your nearest VA, or like you were talking about, look it up, and bring your 214, and you'll be in the rotation quick.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. It's experience that very few people can relate to, man. So
yeah.
I know what you're saying, but we thank you for your service, man, for real.
I appreciate it,
and
and a lot of people call me a hero, and I'm not the hero. I stood on the shoulders of a lot of heroes, and I walked next to a lot of them. But I miss them, and I wish I could have been there or turned the other way with my carbine and been able to pick these guys off. But there's just so much coming that you can't get them all.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my guys die right next to me that were buddies. And what can you do? You can only pray for them and remember them. And they say that's the only way you forget somebody, if you don't remember them and what they were there to do. And that was to fight for the red, white, and blue.
Man, what post-war coming out? Now you're sober. Now you're out of jail. What's the move next? How did you get to Reno?
My ex-wife was from here originally. Her dad had moved down here like a few years before we divorced, and then she decided once we got divorced that she would move down here. So I stayed up in the Seattle area close to Veterans Hospital there because it was a well-renowned VA for PTSD and all that. So I stayed up there until I felt like I was in a position where I could move. And then in 2015, I moved down to be closer to my son and my stepdaughter and just be involved with their life. And it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love it here. I love the sunshine and the dry weather. Seattle it's tough on combat veterans because it's so dark and rainy and wet.
Yeah, man.
It's you get into these cycles up there, where the winter times are pretty tough. And even the winter times here are tough for me because of light refraction.
Yeah.
And I can tell my body is like a barometer. I can start telling when like now, it's starting to get darker earlier, and my body, I can feel it.
That's wild. Yeah.
And I never knew until I was to by the people that helped me that this is what causes what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And so I've been happy to be here, and
Yeah.
my son and I are very close now. And here's a little story. Things don't always go perfect in sobriety. We had a little falling out for a couple of years, and thank God, God's will. I just let him do what he's going to do, and eventually, recently, my mom died in September of last year, and that was the catalyst for us to get back together. And now I talked to him before I got here.
Yeah.
And it's possible that he could be one of us too. But
Yeah.
he's not ready to make a move like that, but we'll see. He's been in the rooms. He was in the rooms as a kid.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I hope his life sucks. I hope it gets better. Yeah. That's what I say to everybody who's struggling with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely from a place of absolute love and compassion because nobody gets here and gets sober on a fucking winning streak, man. We're all crawling out of our skin. And the worse it is, the better it is because, man, that's when you decide to put that fucking shovel down. You know what I'm saying? That's
the jug.
That's it, dude. So you never drank in Reno?
No. I had just got out in 22 out of prison, and then 2012, and then I moved here in 15. So
yeah, the bars don't close here.
No, man.
Yeah.
This is a tough spot for people because it's so readily available. If you want to just go sit in a casino and act like you're doing something, they're going to bring you drinks, and that's a tough play for a lot of alcoholics because it's so readily available.
Right. And I believe that's the testament to the quality of recovery that we have in these rooms. You know what I mean? Is just because, man, like we just have such a high quality of recovery simply because these bars don't close. People get here a lot sooner. The running joke always was in early sobriety for me was they would always say, I got sober at 21 years old. And the old timers in the rooms would be like, I spilt more than you drank. And I love hearing it because I already had something wind up. And I had to say, if you wouldn't have spilled so much, you would have got here around the same time I did. You know what I mean? I definitely feel like if I was in any other place, I wouldn't have hit that bottom as fast. And so that's why I think that the recovery in these rooms is so profound. It's so great. You know what I mean? Is we really do, we luck out, man. You know?
I mentioned earlier that I've been to places all over the world and shared and listened and been a part of. And I think that, and I might be biased, but I think Reno's sobriety is pretty incredible. And there's a lot of people in this town that have incredible sobriety and have been around. And I think it's a great place to get sober. So.
Yeah. And if you can hear, if you're listening in or you are watching this and you hear the insanity outside of this studio, we did that on purpose. We are right on 4th Street in downtown Reno, and we are in the cut, and we call it 4th Street Live, not because this is a live show, but because it is live outside. And man, I walked this street often when I was out there, and I walked and I never was going anywhere, but I sure fucking walked a lot. You know what I mean? And that's because I was doing extracurriculars, man. And yeah, and we could have edited all that out, but I really love that sound out there, man, because to me, it reminds me of where I could be, man, every single day. Because if you just look and you're ever in downtown Reno and you decide to drive down 4th Street and you hear the sirens and you on cue, man, and you hear the people, it's just, it's there go I all the time. You know what I mean? It's a very humbling thing, and I'm very grateful. And the only reason that I get to do anything in life is because I decided to walk out of that fucking burning building and give my will away, because my will has led me to hospitals, institutions, and almost fucking death. And I think that you can relate a lot to that too, man.
Yeah, I've been locked up, and I was in a conflict known as the Battle of Mogadishu. They made a movie about it. It was Black Hawk Down, and I was wounded in that engagement and was medevaced out to Landstuhl, Germany. And when they got me to Germany, they put me on the table to fix up my wound. My whole groin was blown out by a 7.62 round that had bounced off the concrete. And when it hit me, bullets usually do this. Bullet was tumbling, so it ripped me open like a can opener. And so they had a lot of work to do. The problem is that there were 5 of us on the plane, and only 3 of us made it. 2 guys died on the trip over. So obviously they were paying. They got us in there, and the anesthesiologist, back in those days, they still did the calculations by hand.
Yeah.
Mistake, and he made mine times 2.
Yeah.
So I was about 190 pounds at the time. He gave me enough for down there for a 300-pound man. It shut my heart off, and I was pronounced gone for almost 8 minutes, and then they got me back. And they said if I hadn't been in such good shape, I would have never made it. I'm thankful for giving the anesthesiologist now, because that's what we do in this program. We take inventory, and where people have made amends to me and said, I'm sorry, I've accepted it, and it changes your trajectory of my life, especially my military career. That's full that I have those tools from the program that allow me to. Guy made a mistake with my life and damn near killed me, but I'm okay with it now, and we still talk every 4 October is the date that I actually passed. The conflict happened on 3 October, but it was earlier in the morning the next day is when the whole incident happened. So we always trade email or talk on that day, and I thank him for he was trying and everything else great. Fixed me up, and I still have a bunch of shrapnel in my hip area, and I've got shrapnel from other engagements and other wars, but
Yeah.
that's just comes with the territory. But my main thing is that I was able to forgive that guy for trying to save my life, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
So,
I have no human experience that I can fucking relate that to. So if Dino can let go of resentments like that,
yeah.
fucking what am I complaining about, man?
And it took me a little bit. I had been sober already, but I
Yeah.
definitely had to do the work, and that's what this thing is. You got to do the work.
Yeah.
You can't get this thing by osmosis. You can come, you drive and sit there and rob, but if you don't do what's in the book, and God help you, because unless you're a robot that doesn't feel, then you can go ahead and try it. But I recommend doing this thing as suggested, and that's why we have everything numbered, and we don't jump around. We do it in order, in succession. And for anybody that thinks that they have a problem, this is the best thing going. And for $1 a day, and you don't even have to put that buck in when you're a newcomer. You just come and listen, and you're going to get all the experience, strength, and hope you can handle, especially in this town.
Yeah, man.
So,
Something else I'd like to, I'm gonna start asking in this show is something I struggled with in early sobriety was everything I liked to do. I didn't know how to fucking do it sober. You know what I mean? And that was really, it was like rolling a joint, man. It was like I loved rolling a joint. I didn't like just smoking weed. I like rolling joints, man. I didn't like just drinking beer. I like going to the bar and sitting down and drinking a beer. You know what I mean? It was everything that came with it. It was all that muscle memory, man. And I think the reason it took me even as long as it did was because I just thought my life was over, man. So what is your thing that you get to do that you love to do now? Like motorcycles, hunting, fishing. What's your thing that you get to do that you love to do sober? Or things?
yeah. Yeah, I'm not a saint by any
Yeah, man.
means, but I'm a poker player, so I play a lot of poker, and I frequent, what would I put 'em there? Places where women hang out and I have food, and
Fuck yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I still do those things,
Cool.
and then I like to work out. I play golf, just as you can tell, I'm been in the sun a lot. I play probably every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, man.
Golf has been my saving grace. Been playing since I was a kid, so
Yeah.
that's been the thing that's kept me level headed is golf. And then when I first moved here, I was a decent wrestler growing up. I was a national champion in 1983, and then I was a two-time high school state champion up in Washington. So wrestling and jiu-jitsu and a lot of the pancreation and stuff that started out back in the early 90s was when I got involved with that. And it's been something I love to do still. And I like to show people. My son's pretty well pronounced as far as his jujitsu and wrists and arm locks, chokes, and
Yeah,
all
man.
that good stuff. But yeah, that's all stuff that has kept me sane while I've been sober, because this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it will, no matter how much time you have, it will try to tell you that you're okay and go ahead and don't do the things that you need to do to keep yourself sane and sober. And that's why I have to be here and talking to you guys.
Yeah,
And
man.
I really appreciate being asked to do this. And without it, I don't, my life is, I don't even want to imagine what it would be.
Yeah, man. And yeah, it was first got here. Guys were trying to invite me golfing. And that's something that a lot of the guys did when I was first coming in. And I didn't want to fucking golf. And I tried it and I just was like, I didn't want to golf. And I found there was like 3 cliques coming in. There was the golfers, then there was the fishing guys,
Yeah.
which I do love fishing. And then there was the bikers, man. And some of those bikers I've known for a long time, and I'm just from growing up in the rooms. And those are the guys that I jumped to, man. And those guys had shiny new Harleys, and they looked like they had money in the bank. You know what I mean? They looked like they had credit, and they looked like they had peace, man. All things I just, not just from bikers, but everybody in the rooms, man. It was just they had this level of peace that I just didn't have that I fucking wanted, man. And man, I remember there's another bike on cue again. I remember wanting what everybody had and not being able to get it because I came into the rooms with a 400 credit score, $12 in the bank account, a boot on my leg, on paper, on probation, and a back brace, man. And just having pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, looking around at everybody else happy. And now I look back and I'm like, fucking good. Good. I'm so glad that's what was happening around me, that everybody else was winning while I was failing, because it gave me something to look forward to. And
You're lucky to be alive too,
right,
based on your accident that
yeah,
you've talked about frequently.
right.
Yeah, you're lucky to you actually walked away as even amazing, more amazing. That's a story for another
Yeah,
day.
it is. This is, yeah, and it's very true. And I think that the stuff is cool and the doing the stuff is cool, but being available to receive that stuff because I'm not living in my will anymore, and seeing guys like you who I know aren't just talking the talk, but are walking the walk, because that softness in your shoulders and when you speak, that's what I wanted. And you have it, man. And there's guys in these rooms that you've shared, and there's guys around, period, that see what you have and want what you have, and it's real. And there's a reason we share our experience, strength, and hope. Is there's somebody that's going to hear this, and that's the only reason we're doing this. Is there's somebody that's going to hear what you have to say,
That needs to hear
that
it.
needs to fucking hear it. And
Might
that's
be just one, but that's all.
that's it, man.
That's all we want.
Yeah, that's it, man. How are we looking on time, John? Cool, man. So I'd like to wrap it up with the same thing we're going to pretty much do anytime we got somebody that comes on in sobriety or in recovery. And what would your advice be to a cat who's new in sobriety, or maybe not even in sobriety's radar? What would your advice be to the cat to maybe get him some help?
The first thing I do is pray.
Yeah.
And get in touch with someone other than yourself that you can rely on. And then from there, we have all the information at our fingers. Start looking at, but like you said, 12-step programs. And if you're a veteran, there's a whole plethora of programs that you can reach out and find out exactly where and what you can do to help yourself. And then if you do happen to make it in the rooms, stick around a little bit before and after the meeting so you can talk to some people, and you'll find that one person. That's all you need to get their number and work with them, or at least call them when you're not feeling 100%, and just say, hey, you know what, I need help. And that's the first thing you have to do, is to make that decision that your life has become unmanageable and you got to do something about it. And again, we keep referring to it, but I hope your life is miserable and you're in pain and
Yeah.
all that, because pain is the one thing that will drive someone to figure out what the next move is going to be so they can get out of pain.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's what I would do. There's so much information out there that you can go, even the library, you can go anywhere and get the help you need. So
Yeah.
that's what I would do. But first things first is get a power greater than yourself to believe in and go from there.
Yeah, man. That's real.
Yeah.
I fucking love you, bro. And you've helped us and the men in this room just sitting here listening to you. I know that you've helped us, so I know you're going to help others, man. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on here, talking to us, and
Thank you for having me.
you're definitely going to have, you're going to definitely be, what you have said tonight is definitely going to have helped some people, man. And
That's what we're doing it for. I don't need the notoriety or
right, right.
all that. If it helps one person who watches this, I hope more, but
Right.
if it's only one, then so be it. I'm going to pray about it when we're done and hope that this thing will reach as many people as possible that are suffering out there in the streets or wherever they might be. And I know what the suffering feels like, and you can change it.
Yeah.
There's help available at your fingertips to change your life and change the way you do things.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah.
And
You.
thanks everybody for tuning in. We are going to be weekly on Wednesdays on 4th Street Live. We're going to have every kind of person on imaginable, highlighting this beautiful town we call Reno, and any kind of people you can think of, man. Do me a favor, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube. Check us out, share us. What we get is one more day sober, and we just love to do this, man. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.